Buenos días, en un momento comenzamos con el Webex del día de hoy. Buen día a todos, mi nombre es Pablo López. Bienvenidos al web del día de hoy como título: ¿Qué sucede cuando IBM entra en el mundo de Windows? Donde vamos a estar viendo información sobre este tema. También vamos a tener una sección de preguntas y respuestas. Si tienen alguna duda, por favor utilicen el área de chat para hacernos llegar todo lo que puedan tener de duda o alguna información que requieran. Y por favor, si tienen algún problema, también nos pueden escribir para hacernos saber que algo está ocurriendo. La agenda del día de hoy, vamos a ver precisamente un poco de información sobre nosotros. Después vamos a entrar al tema del día de hoy y vamos a tener precisamente la sección de preguntas y respuestas que les había comentado previamente. Nosotros somos una empresa de consultoría que tenemos más de 20 años de experiencia en Latinoamérica y Europa. Hemos implementado diferentes soluciones que siempre apoyan las mejores prácticas como ITIL, ISO 27000 o COVID. Tenemos un modelo de negocios el cual, en base a la experiencia y la tecnología existente, hemos desarrollado diferentes metodologías que nos permiten ofrecerles tanto soluciones de software como servicios de consultoría y actualización tecnológica, siempre basados en las mejores prácticas y siempre enfocados a los objetivos de su negocio. Contamos con diferentes líneas de negocio, como son el área de seguridad de la información, donde nosotros podemos ayudarles a que sepan exactamente qué está sucediendo con su información, quién está accediendo, quién está modificando un campo, en qué momento se está realizando esta modificación, incluso que usted pueda decidir cuáles son los horarios o días en los que se puede realizar estas modificaciones, qué perfiles lo pueden hacer, desde qué direcciones se puede realizar estas modificaciones, y que por supuesto tenga un control exactamente de lo que está sucediendo, pueda recibir alertas en tiempo real si algo está ocurriendo de forma anómala, y que pueda tomar en ese momento, incluso se haya programado previamente lo que va a hacer en el caso de una modificación. Incluso se podría detectar que el cambio es algo no autorizado y entonces se puede revertir los cambios que se hayan realizado. También si se necesita una solución de encriptamiento, nosotros podemos apoyarlos a que precisamente pueda realizar ese encriptamiento y transferencia de archivos, ya sea a través de un FTP o FTP seguro, a través de una nube privada, incluso a través de lo que es las carpetas compartidas que utilizamos en el día a día, o a través del correo electrónico. En la parte de monitoreo de infraestructura y servicios de TI, nos interesa que usted pueda tener un monitoreo total del servicio de TI y la infraestructura asociada a de manera tal que pueda saber exactamente qué está ocurriendo, que sepa si tenemos algún problema quizás en la facturación, y entonces que sepa exactamente dónde se está presentando. Quizás puede ser en las comunicaciones, algún problema que se esté llenando el disco duro del servidor, quizás por ahí un web service no está dando el tiempo de respuesta que usted desea. Entonces podemos avisarle en un dashboard qué es lo que está sucediendo, y además complementarlo con alertas visuales que le permitan tomar una acción antes de que esto se convierta en un problema. También si se detectara que hubiera un cuello de botella, podemos ayudarlo a que sepa exactamente qué está provocando ese cuello de botella, que sepa qué usuarios quizás están utilizando en ese momento un servicio FTP que está consumiendo ese ancho de banda, o quizás hay mucha navegación en internet, y precisamente usted puede tener un control sobre lo que está sucediendo con sus usuarios, de manera tal que pueda usted saber qué está ocurriendo y tomar una acción que le permita, obviamente, evitar estos cuellos de botella. En el área de control de cambios podemos ayudarle a que usted, desde el momento en el que el usuario hace una solicitud, pueda tomar control de todo el ciclo de desarrollo de software. Ya el usuario hizo esa solicitud, vamos obviamente a asignarlo a los diferentes desarrolladores que podemos tener, todo lo que es el desarrollo que hace los desarrolladores y por supuesto pasando por lo que son las pruebas que se tengan que hacer en los diferentes ambientes y lo que ya es la implementación en las diferentes plataformas que pueda tener. En el área de Performance and Capacity Planning nos interesa que usted pueda conocer lo que está sucediendo en sus servidores en el día a día, que sepa exactamente en qué se están ocupando los recursos, en qué horarios del día tiene por ahí un mayor consumo de memoria, de CPU o que quizás algo está sucediendo durante las noches con sus equipos y no sabe exactamente qué es lo que está ocurriendo. Vamos a ayudarle precisamente a que usted vea todo el desempeño de sus equipos, cómo se están comportando y que conozca más en qué momento se pueden requerir más recursos. Con toda la información que se ha recabado se puede realizar un capacity planning también que puede ayudarle a que pueda tomar decisiones, en qué momento hay que cambiar un servidor, en qué momento hay que aumentar quizás la memoria o hay que hacer algo en el servidor que nos ayude precisamente a que el performance sea mucho más fluido. Entonces podemos precisamente darle esos consejos que puedan ayudarlo a que tome esas decisiones a un futuro. En el área de automatización de tareas y procesos de TI podemos ayudarlos a que cualquier flujo que ustedes tengan se pueda automatizar. Si desean realizar un cierre diario, quizás necesitan por ahí automatizar algún web service o quizás un alta de usuarios en las diferentes bases de datos o en las diferentes plataformas que ustedes puedan contar. Todo esto se puede automatizar independientemente de la plataforma en la que se encuentra. Quizás sean procesos que inicien en un ambiente Windows, donde ustedes necesiten dar de alta en un Active Directory, crear un espacio en SharePoint o incluso establecer los límites en los buzones. Se puede establecer una tarea que nos permita automatizar todo eso, que después pase incluso a lo que es un ambiente Linux, donde se tengan que dar de alta los usuarios y quizás crear algunas carpetas que ellos puedan utilizar y incluso si ustedes necesitaran hacerlo en los servidores Power también se puede automatizar y todo en una misma tarea, en un mismo flujo que permita automatizar todos sus tiempos, que permita ahorrar el tiempo de su área y que obviamente permita que se pueda ocupar todo ese tiempo en alguna otra tarea. Contamos con más de 20 años de experiencia y estos son algunos de los clientes con los que hemos trabajado durante estos 20 años. Además, contamos con diferentes alianzas tecnológicas con empresas líderes que nos permiten ofrecerles el software de vanguardia, así como ofrecerles los servicios especializados y las mejores soluciones. Precisamente para este Webex tenemos el soporte de Health Systems y contamos con el apoyo de Chuck Losinski y Richard Schwan. Hello guys, please proceed with the Webex.
Well, hello everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. What happens when IBMI enters the Windows world? Coming to you from beautiful Eden Prairie and Rochester in Minnesota, here in the USA. Thanks for joining us. So here's the scenario. You have a batch job on IBMI that's waiting on a Windows file. You schedule the IBMI job to run at 6 p.m. because you're pretty sure that Windows extract file on the website will be available by 5:45. But the marketing folks decide to delay the order extract from the website until 7 p.m. because of a big sale, but they didn't tell you. So that evening, at best, there's a delay while you figure out what went wrong, or worst case, no orders get processed and no orders are ready for shipment by the night crew. So there's a better way to integrate your IDMI, the backbone of the organization, into the Windows world, and that's what we're going to talk about today. My name is Chuck Lisinski. I'm the Director of Automation Technology for the robot product line here at Home Systems. Every day I speak with our customers to discuss solutions we have for automation, business intelligence, security, document management on IBM I, as well as other server technology. And my co-presenter today is none other than Mr. Document Management, Richard Schoen. Hi, Richard.
Hey Chuck, how you doing? And for people who don't know me, I'm Director of Document Management here at Health Systems. I've been here since 2014 when my business was acquired. And along with Chuck, I'm part of the Technical Solutions Group, bringing these types of topics to our customers and prospective customers. And I have the distinction of having 29 years now of background with IBM I, Windows and Linux platforms, and managing, delivering forms of documents, and helping with process automation, just like Chuck. We're very busy on that topic.
All right. So Richard, I'm going to turn it over to you to talk about what we're going to talk about today in the webinar.
Sounds good, yeah. So our plan for today is we're going to go over a few highlights from our 2017 IBM I Marketplace Survey. We'll review what we're seeing in regards to Windows and other non-IBM I servers used in conjunction with IBM I, and then we'll spend some time covering 3 interesting reasons you may want to integrate your IBM I in your Windows servers. And then along the way, Chuck will also be giving us a few technology demos as well to illustrate our integration technologies in action. And if you do have any questions, make sure to enter them in the chat window and we'll address them towards the end of the webinar. And then today's webinar is also being recorded and you'll receive a link to the session. So let's talk about what we're seeing happening in the marketplace. All right, these are responses from about 500 of our peer IBM I businesses on the survey, and as you can see here, 67.6% of respondents have Windows servers in place, which is no surprise to me, to run apps such as email, web servers, etc. 7.6 to 13% of respondents also have Linux or AIX as additional platforms in place as well. We see a lot of that, I know, in our customer base. This is an indicator to me that most shops who used to rely only on IBM I for their business systems have also embraced Windows and Linux-based systems to augment IBM I processes. I would guess the large percentage of those shops are also embracing VMware or Microsoft Hyper-V as their virtualization platform of choice. And then for those of you who aren't aware, the Windows and Linux world has embraced VMware for virtualization, much the way IBM I shops have for their IBM I partitions. So on a single Windows server, you can often house several virtualized Windows or Linux servers.
So Richard, we do have a polling question related to this, talking about business process automation challenges as well as how many Windows servers integrate with IBM I. So we're going to open that poll now and you'll have a couple minutes to respond.
Perfect, and while that goes on, we'll continue. So this slide speaks to the continued strength of the IBM I platform in our shop. IBM I is still a critical platform in 41.7% of our survey respondents, and then for 30% of you, at least half of your workloads still run on IBM I since critical systems are often hard to replace. And then about 13 to 15% of you may have a few critical applications on IBM I where you haven't been able to find anything comparable on another platform for what's currently running on IBM I. So that's a good thing about our existing systems, and that also means almost half of our businesses are committed to IBM I as their ongoing business platform for their most important work. And also, most of you are committed to running at least one or more critical apps on IBM I moving forward. So if you couple that with an application modernization and educating management on the importance of IBM I, those numbers should hold pretty steady in 2017 and 18 and beyond. So.
Yeah, and an interesting tidbit from our marketplace study included the fact that about 7% of the respondents in the marketplace study are running SAP. And I was just mentioning to Richard, I was at the SAP Summit just this morning in Rochester, Minnesota, ducked out to do this webinar. But a lot of modern applications, obviously, and with modern interfaces running on IBM I.
Awesome. All right. So in this slide, so in 2017, we had over 65% of our respondents who are running lights out automation fully unattended. This figure is up from, it was 55.6% in 2016 and 50.3% in 2015, so definitely going in the right direction. Some of this can be attributed to management bringing in automation software to help future-proof daily operations. As one of the trends Chuck and I have been seeing is some of the older IBM I team members start moving towards retirement or maybe other areas of the business or maybe into management. So as fewer people are out there with IBM I operations experience, Management is embracing full automation in their shops to run jobs and monitor systems. And I would guess many of those people are using software such as health system scheduling and monitoring software to run their IBM automation. And then of the 34.3% respondent shops who are not fully automated, many of those shops are old school and say they prefer to have staff manage critical processes. Some say that automation isn't a priority for management, and about 20% say their processes are way too complicated for automation. Chances are over the next few years, though, those teams will start to embrace more automation as they realize the benefits. And we're always happy to talk to anyone who thinks their processes are way too complicated to automate and give them ideas about good ways to automate their process. Between Chuck and I think we certainly have lots of good ideas on what to do.
Oh, absolutely. And our support staff has worked, obviously, with thousands of customers over the years. We've got a lot of documented case studies and options that you may not have heard about. So speaking of talking to customers, I speak with probably 300 or so different customers every year, and I have been doing that for quite a number of years now. And this is what we're hearing in talking to our customers through technology updates and roadmap conversations is, first of all, I have never heard of an overstaffed IT department that has IBM in it. So typically the staff that is out there supporting multiple platforms, programmers and application developers are typically very much involved with day-to-day operations and administration staff. In fact, it's not unusual. I just had a conversation last week with a gentleman who was the programmer and the admin for a smaller power system running maybe 3 partitions, supporting a fairly large manufacturing company. But here's what's going on. We've got more and more younger staff coming in. I know here at Health Systems we're definitely doing that, and we're mentoring them on the IBM, and they bring a lot of knowledge on other platforms, obviously, especially Windows and mobile, and so they're able to reflect a little bit differently on some of the options that are out there. So that's one of the issues that we see as small staff. Another issue we see is multiple schedulers. So people are used to using cron, they're used to using the Windows Task Scheduler, and maybe even the native scheduler on IBM. And in order to coordinate the tasks between multiple platforms, they use what we call timer jobs. We've all done it, where you've got a process maybe running on the Windows side, you're waiting for a data extract or something, and sure, that's going to be done at 5 o'clock for sure, and so you can run your nightly process maybe over on IBM at 6 o'clock, but oh, lo and behold, maybe the Windows process was delayed, or maybe it didn't run at all, but your IBM process goes to run, it does its update, and there's nothing there to update. So that's a big issue that we see out there. Another is compliance and SLA reporting. So based on all these activities that are running across IBM as well as the Windows world, what sort of confirmation, what sort of documentation do you have that those processes ran and completed on time? Do you have notification in place? Probably not. So what we're seeing is people need that backup documentation. They need to be able to run a report to give to management, and they need real-time notification when things don't happen when and as they should.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about a couple of topics I deal with a lot lately. AppDev, DevOps, and RPA, or robotic process automation, are all topics we're hearing more and more about as we start thinking about helping our teams get more work done. So being able to automatically test and deploy applications is a great way to put automation wrappers around your build processes, which is what DevOps is all about. And then most companies are choosing best-of-breed solutions for their IBM and their Windows and other development processes. Often we hear terms like Rational Developer or Team Concert, Confluence, and Jira, and Chef, and Puppet, and Jenkins are all other buzzwords and terms to describe how teams are automating their software build and deployment processes. So I feel like I'm hearing almost a new buzzword every day. So we have software to help sew together and automate all of your core IBM and multi-platform application development and DevOps processes without forcing your team to rip and replace the best-of-breed build technologies you've implemented. But we also support robotic process automation, which is the process of automating many of the tasks that our users do today, such as file transfers, interacting with Windows and web-based applications to grab data from websites, importing or extracting data to Excel or CSV or XML, or automatically processing inbound email messages or onboarding new users. Robotic process automation allows your job and task scheduling to go way beyond just running executable to actually helping your users do their daily work faster. Pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, and Richard, our polling shows the following as far as challenges to business process automation. We see coordinating multiple schedulers. That came up about 20% of the time. Custom coding for event-based triggers, same report balancing, manual steps that are complex to automate. Moving extracts between servers, that was a big one. Audit reporting, not quite so big. Exception notification, not quite so big, but still represented in our poll. And looks like the majority have 1 to 10 Windows servers that they need to coordinate with. So that absolutely fits with what we're seeing in our conversations with customers. Okay, let's talk about 3 reasons to integrate Windows tasks with IBM I. And this I like to call visualization or dependency processing across all platforms. And we're talking mobile too. So we're bringing in new staff here at Help Systems, and no doubt you guys are bringing in new staff. And anytime you bring somebody new in to your environment, one of the things you have to help them understand are the business processes. Visualization is a big part of that. Being able to show them how processes relate to one another, not just on one platform, but across platforms. So as one step finishes, could be on your IBM I system, could be on another platform. That is part of the equation when triggering, for instance, your nightly process. And when your nightly process is done, that might trigger multiple concurrent processes, both on IBM I as well as other platforms. So we need a couple things in place here. We need a modern interface that can communicate this business process to the end user, and then you also need to be able to coordinate processes across those multiple platforms. So Robot Schedule has been the batch scheduler of choice for many organizations for decades now. This tool has actually been around for more than 30 years. It launched the Help Systems company for batch automation on IBM I, and it was a decade ago, Richard, that we brought enterprise scheduling to Robot. A lot of people don't even realize that Robot on IBM I, on your critical server, can also be used to coordinate with those tasks running on other platforms. Windows, Linux, AIX, there's built-in file transfer, secure file transfer, and a new interface that we're going to talk to specifically in our second demo. We now interface also to Automate. Automate is a fairly sophisticated Windows automation tool that Richard is very much knee-deep in and truly an expert on this technology. It's used for very sophisticated Windows automation. So what I'd like to do now is I'd like to share up my desktop and let's take a look at what Robot Schedule looks like for the enterprise. All right, so Richard, let me know when you can see my desktop.
I gotcha.
Okay,
There.
so we're going to go back in history a little bit. I'm going to just slide over the infamous green screen. We still obviously have a number of customers running the green screen, but as you look at my list of robot jobs here, you really have no idea how they coordinate with one another. So that's one of the answers that we need to provide is how our processes coordinate with one another. All right, so the Robot Schedule GUI interface, the Java-based interface, has been available for over a decade now and helps systems for working with your IBM I jobs, but this is also the tool that we use to work with those processes running on other platforms. So the Robot Schedule Enterprise Server is software that you install on your Windows, Linux, or AIX server, and then you register it back to your Robot Schedule running on IBM I. So on my Wisdom instance of IBM I and Robot Schedule, I have these agents that are associated back. So you can see I've got AIX server, I've got multiple Windows servers, I've got a Linux server, and so on. Okay, so I've got a number of servers that are registered. Some are active, some are not. As a matter of fact, if one of these servers becomes unavailable, and it's critical maybe to your daily process or nightly run or what have you, we can implement offline notification. So if that server becomes unavailable, you can be notified immediately, maybe even before the network or server people know that that server is not available. So that's built into Robot Schedule. So let's take a look at all the jobs that are running on this particular agent. So a couple ways you can look at task activity in the Robot Schedule GUI. I can first of all look by what I would call a group, or what we call an application, but it could be a functional group. So in this case, we're looking at my accounting jobs. Okay, so these jobs are a combination of IBMI as well as Windows tasks. Now, I can also look at that same group of jobs by agent. So if I click on just one particular agent, these are the jobs that are associated with that particular Windows server. And likewise for all the other Windows servers or Linux servers or AIX servers, I can subset my jobs or sort out my jobs by that particular server. Okay, so let's take a look at one of these jobs. In this case, this job will process an electronic funds transfer. So if you're used to looking at jobs on IBMI, this is going to look both familiar and a little bit different, because what we're doing is we're going to be talking to a Windows server, and we're going to be sending it Windows type commands. So we're not going to be sending it IBMI batch type commands. So this job, CL EFT proc, process EFT, is looking at a particular Windows server. All right, now I can select which server I want to run on. All right, so that's one thing that's different in your robot job, is you have to tell that job what server to run on. Now all the scheduling and dependency options are the same in your enterprise type jobs as they would be for any other batch type job. So I can either schedule this job discreetly, or I can say that this EFT, process EFT job has some dependency. All right, now I'm going to show you what this looks like visually. What I want to show you first is the commands associated with this robot job. All right, so I'm executing an FTP process. Okay, so I'm moving data from my agent to the integrated file system, and I'm also using some of the reserve command variable functionality to rename the object once it reaches IBMI. And then I'm executing a copy and a delete. Now, how would this look visually? Let's take a look at what's known as a blueprint. So this is a job flow diagram or a blueprint showing those processes. So my EFT process is right here, and the rest of my batch and interactive process follows that. So I've got several dependencies from my nightly process. I've got a daily backup. I've got a couple of file dependencies, which we're going to show. So from this interface, from this job flow diagram, we can get to things like agent event history, so we can see when, for instance, a Windows file was added as far as the prerequisites go. From this interface, we can also get to things like the job completion history, so when did this job run last, how long did it take, were there any warnings, and so on. So that is built into the product, and you can also look at this, this data in our browser interface, which we'd love to show you one-on-one. Yeah. All right, demo one complete.
All right. Reason number two. So for reason number two, to integrate IBMI and Windows tasks, let's talk a little bit about report balancing. This is a phenomenon, about a year or two ago we started hearing about this stuff. I think about that timeline, wasn't it? Yeah, so we're hearing about this issue more and more often from some of our banking and our insurance customers, although I imagine any industry could have this type of operational issue. So let's look quickly at an example automated balancing process opportunity where some information originates from a website, some from an IBMI report, so definitely two different distinct sources of data needing to be tied off. So historically it's been impossible to automate a process of this nature, but by using robot and automate, as Chuck was describing, we can do something like this. So your process might look something like this. So maybe today the user logs into a website and they navigate to a selected web page. And then they download a file from the site and they upload it to the IFS to get processed. And then after the IBMI process completes, the operator writes down some totals from the website, and then they go back into the out queue on the IBMI and check the report totals from the process file against the anticipated totals from the report in the website. So if the totals match, the operator can submit the next process to run and waiting around for the IBMI process to complete. What if that entire process from logging into the website and downloading the file to checking the report and the out queue could all be automated from start to finish? So the good news is that our scheduling and automation components can help automate these mixed platforms completely, thus helping operations team remove processes that are fraught with manual checks. And Chuck, on our next slide is another example of balancing workflow that Chuck's going to be demoing shortly. So this is a bank balancing demo used to balance an FTP transfer with a processed report. So this workflow downloads a file from an FTP provider, uploads to the IFS, then a file event will trigger using robot schedule reactivity, and then this event will run an IBMI job to process the IFS file and generate a report. And then Chuck will talk a little bit more about that as in our demo in a few moments.
All right, so this was the latest update to Robot Schedule. If you have Robot Schedule Enterprise now, the Automate interface was added on the last iteration, so it's available on our website, and it's part of the built-in function builder functionality if you have Robot Schedule Enterprise. So there's two components. There's Robot Schedule, and there's an add-on called Robot Schedule Enterprise. So you need the Enterprise add-on to be able to interface with Automate. And maybe, Richard, you could describe to us what is Automate.
Sure, yeah. So let's take a moment to talk about where Automate fits into the landscape for our customers. So often customers are using Robot or Robot Schedule Enterprise to run IBMI jobs that need to also run custom Windows or Linux commands like Chuck was describing. So historically, Robot customers have also used Robot Replay to automate running those IBMI workloads from Windows by recording and automating playback to simulate an operator running a job from a 5250 session. So with Automate, you can certainly automate 5250 sessions if desired, because that's in there, but there's also 600 other automation activities you can use to quickly configure and define custom processes like our bank balancing demo that Chuck will be showing very shortly.
Great. So let's jump into our live demo. Okay, so first of all, let's take a look at how Robot Schedule interfaces to Automate. So first, let's take a look at the Automate task builder. So I've got two Automate scripts created, one called Balancing Step 1, one called Balancing Step 2. Balancing Step 1 is going to take data from another server. In fact, let me show you the print. We do have a job flow diagram. I don't want to get too far into myself. Picture's worth 1,000 words, Richard.
Absolutely.
All right. So here's our job flow. So first of all, the Automate Balance step is a robot job that's going to run an Automate process to download a CSV file from the web, and then we're going to place that into an IFS directory. Now, this step could run via a discrete time, so let's say at 6 p.m. every night. You want to execute this process. It could run in reaction to something else. It's all up to you. Now, when we upload this file to the integrated file system, that's going to trigger a process, a robot process called invoices. So that's actually going to create the invoicing spool file. It's going to process the data into our databases, and all that's going to happen automatically. So robot's going to detect that the file is uploaded to the integrated file system. It's going to trigger the invoice create process in robot. It's going to take that data and it's going to copy the audit report into the IFS directory, and of course we'll also see that in an out queue. And then this job could trigger the next balancing step. We're going to trigger some of this manually just so we can follow along a little bit better during the demo. So that's our job flow. All right, so first of all, this is Automate, and these are our two scripts, our two balancing scripts. As mentioned, balancing step 1 is going to do the download and the upload. The report process is going to be triggered automatically in robot. Then we're going to actually compare the two together using balancing step 2. As Richard mentioned, a lot of different processes have been pre-automated for the Windows world. So for instance, if wanted to, for instance, send an email message, you can drag that here into your script, and it prompts it almost like a CL program. All right? So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to run this just from Automate. Let's watch Automate do its thing.
Yeah, Chuck, my favorite term is CL programming for Windows.
There you go. There you go. Okay, so we just ran the automate process, and if I bring up our schedule activity monitor. Okay, I'm going to bring up our schedule activity monitor. So this is showing you what's been happening with Robot. And as you can see, the invoice create process has executed. So what does that mean? First of all, that means if we look in the out queue, bank demo, helps if I get the right system. There we go.
As I say, Academy, I think.
There we go. Here's my report sample. All right, so I have a total value of $63,852.04. All right, so let's look now at the spreadsheet that data came from. All right, it's called daily invoices. So this was downloaded from a website someplace or some data source, and as you can see, we have the same value. So, you know, manually, we definitely balance. All right, but let's run through the balancing step in automate. And by the way, these jobs do exist here under my applications. You can see I have balance step 1, balance step 2. So just for an example to show you the interface of robot schedule enterprise jobs to automate, I'm going to show you the setup of this balance job. So like I said, this job could be scheduled discretely. I could have a schedule here on the job that would run the automate process. And here is my automate task right there. Interfacing to automate. Let me drag that down. So we're interfacing to automate, and we're triggering balance step 1 right there. All right. Now, as I mentioned, we're going to run this step 2, and we're going to compare the value in that out queue, which has since been copied into the IFS. We're going to compare it to that CSV file. And likewise, I'm going to get email notification. You can see I got email notification that my file arrived, and here I've got email notification that we had balancing success. Okay, so likewise, if I change that file, let's just change this file by maybe a penny, all right? Okay, Richard, I have saved it. I'm going to rerun the balancing process. Balancing step 2. Let's run it, and let's see what sort of email we get. All right, down here.
Pushing the envelope. There you go.
All right. So likewise, this could be, we're getting an email here that there's an imbalance or that they are imbalanced, but likewise, we could just be triggering a robot job instead of just sending an email. All right. All right. Let's move on to number 3, our final reason for integrating IDMI with Windows, and that's file event-based scheduling. So as part of my job flow diagram and my nightly process, I had a couple of file prerequisites, an electronic funds transfer, a POS, point of sale file, as well as my daily backup. All those must be completed for my nightly process to run, and then we trigger multiple other processes. So file event monitoring. In Robot Schedule, you can predefine a file out in the Windows, Linux, or AIX world to monitor. So in this case, I'm monitoring for any file called EFT something in my enterprise directory. And when that file is detected, that will in turn trigger my process. And of course, we've got an audit trail behind that. Not only are we capturing when that occurred, but we're also capturing the actual file name. So you can see my file name has changed a little bit depending on when it occurred. So I had an A and a B file, and both those triggered my process. All right, so let's jump into our live demo. We're going to go over just a little bit in our timing, but I think this is valuable, so let's do it. Okay, Richard, can you see my screen?
Yep, got it.
Okay. Okay, so first of all, the file in question is right here. It's electronic funds transfer. This step is going to trigger both my nightly process, a prerequisite for my nightly process, and for processing the EFT file back into the IBMI. So the file event looks like this. Take a look at how this is defined. All right, so the object, or the agent that we're looking at is listed here, and the object that we're looking at is prefaced with EFT, and it's going to be in the enterprise directory. So when that file is added, that is a prerequisite. You can also qualify it. You can say if the object does not change in a certain amount of seconds. You can also say monitor this event every so often, every 5 seconds in this case, and you can even put a time range for when this event is valid. All right, now when that happens, that's going to trigger this EFT proc job. It's also going to trigger the nightly process. All right, so let's make that happen. Okay, so here's my enterprise directory. There's nothing in it. And here is my file, EFT A26 2017A. All right, and I'm also going to bring up my schedule activity monitor so we can actually see this occur. All right, so I'm going to drop this into my enterprise directory. Now, one of the steps that's going to occur is not only are we going to FTP this in the integrated file system, we're also going to copy it into the backup directory. You can see how that happened automatically. And you can see even my calculator auto-launch, that's because just one of the example steps in my job flow diagram is to launch the calculator. So you can see my nightly process has completed. You can see my calculator is launched just to show you how we can execute a Windows executable or bat file using this process. All right, now we've also sent this data into the integrated file system. So let's just do a quick work link. And here's my EFT file from the 26th. All right, so that was part of the job that uploaded this file into the integrated file system, so that can trigger other activity. All right, so easy way to coordinate all this activity across multiple schedulers using a single tool. All right, so Richard, we've got about 5 minutes over. I think we're going to jump directly to our recap, and I'm going to ask if there's any questions. Richard, have you been noticing any questions in the chat?
I got a couple that came in, so I'll hit those real quick since we're running over already. So we are a robot customer, and we haven't deployed the new web-based interface. Is it easy to start using? Maybe I'll let you respond to that one real quick, Chuck.
Yeah, we didn't have time to show the web interface. Obviously, we tried to jam a lot in this webinar, but the web-based interface can be run on any Windows server, and basically you point it back at the IBMI and pull data from there, and then you can use mobile technology. You can, for instance, use your iPhone with Safari, and the job flow diagram that I showed you for our nightly process, totally visible in the mobile interface. You can work with your robot jobs. You can look at the schedule activity monitor. A very cool way to go from an operations standpoint, and also it interfaces with other help systems products like our PowerTech Network Security, Password Self-Help, and others. Thank you for that question.
All right, yeah, I'll take this next one. So this one says we have some cloud-based SaaS processes that need to interact with the website because that's the only way to run a report and other processes, and we need to schedule those types of jobs. Can you help? If you saw Chuck's bank balancing sample, so if your application has no other way to be automated other than automating the user interface, we can help with that. Our automate software component can automate interacting with the web applications like we talked about, navigate the site and enter or extract data or upload or download files. And then we can also interact with Windows-based applications or the terminal emulators such as IBMI, mainframe, Linux, and AIX as well. Good question. And then,
We're really excited about the automated interface. Yep.
Yep. Yeah. One One final question. So as this says, we're thinking about automating our operations but haven't started an initiative yet. Is your team willing to give us some guidance? Absolutely, yeah. Our teams all over the world are focused on one key thing, making sure our software adds value to our customers when automating their processes. So we're always more than happy to schedule a free one-on-one conversation with our technical experts such as Chuck and myself to help determine the best way to begin your automation journey.
All right, thanks for those questions. There are a few other questions. We'll follow up with those offline. We really appreciate your time today. If you're already a Health Systems customer, thank you. And Richard, thank you for assisting with this webinar today. I hope everybody has a great day. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Thank you guys. Thanks for your time. Desafortunadamente se nos ha acabado el tiempo para este Webex. Tenemos algunas otras preguntas, las iremos respondiendo en el transcurso del día por correo. Les recuerdo que mi nombre es Pablo López y nos estamos escuchando en algún otro Webex. Buen día.